spent $700 on a flight to go see a man only to reject me after seeing me with no filter. Disclaimer, this is not my story time, it's that I'm on Instagram. You're gonna hate me even more by the time this ends. I'm gonna call this man Pee-wee. He lied about being 6'2", because when I met him, he was more like 5'7". So Pee-wee and I met on a dating app, because everybody meets on an app today. We messaged each other for about 4 hours. After that, he was completely obsessed. I gave him my Instagram, and after that, he started liking all of my pictures and videos. Now, I really don't post a lot, but what I do have on my page is very cute. And yes, I do use a filter every now and then. But in my defense, I did not use a filter in every single picture. In fact, a lot of my pictures are without makeup. But apparently, he didn't see any of those. After 3 days of DMing each other, he asked me if I wanted to come visit him. He lives very far away, which means I needed to be the one to fly over there. And why was I okay with this? Because I was delusional. And he suggested it, I thought he was going to pay for the ticket. But he said, let me know when you've booked your flight. So I thought, okay, maybe he'll pay for half of it later. But no, I booked my flight like the idiot I am, get myself on a plane, and the whole time we're still talking. After 8 hours of traveling to go see this man, I'm exhausted and hungry. He comes to pick me up, but when I see him, I knew right away he lied. He was not 6'2". He was like 5'7". After we hugged and said hi, Pee-wee started staring at my face. And let's just say he was not impressed. We got into Pee-wee's car, and that's when he said, "You look really different in real life." And he started asking me how old I really was. I had to show him my license to prove that I wasn't telling a lie. And that's when he said that he wasn't really feeling me, and that I could go back home if I wanted to. Excuse me? After 8 hours of traveling, he didn't even offer to take me to dinner. He didn't even ask me how I was. He just said, "You can go." I asked him to pay for the ticket, and he said he couldn't. On his Instagram, he presents himself as being rich. Called him out on not being 6'2", and he said that he didn't lie about that. Well, I got a hotel and stayed the weekend, and then I went home. I feel like an idiot. I would love to punish him, but I don't know how. Any ideas? Self-care sister.
My boyfriend's best friend tried to ruin our relationship. Story time. So a little bit of background information. My boyfriend, Steve, used to be friends with this one girl, and we'll call her Amy. Now listen, this friendship was more flirty than anything. So me and him got to know each other through spring, summer, and we would always hang out after school. And sometimes Amy would be there too. So one night, me and Steve are FaceTiming, and we admitted to each other that we actually really did like each other. So the next day we went on a date, and it kind of just went from there. At this point, I'd started to become really good friends with Amy too. And after that we told her we were dating, she started acting really freaking strange around me. Whenever I would see her in the corridors at school, I'd try and say, hey, have a little conversation, and she would just give me this dirty look. She'd be like, so I started saying to Steve, like, I think Amy's really mad at me for something. And he said that he would talk to her. So before me and Steve started to date, Amy had mentioned that there was this guy that she wanted to ask to prom. And she said that she'd liked him for a really long time, actually. So Steve goes to speak to Amy. Steve comes up to me. We have the debrief. And he says, right, I know what the issue is. Apparently, you were flirting with this guy that she wants to take to prom. And that is when I started to connect the dots, and I was like, oh shit. And that was when I realised that the guy she had liked and wanted to take to prom was actually my boyfriend. And as he is telling me this, she starts FaceTiming me. And I'm like, hey sis, how are you? And she goes, well, I've called to just confront the situation head on. And the first thing she says is, you knew I liked Steve. She's like, how could you do this to me? I've been making a mood board about our prom experience for years. It's given crazy. And I said, well, why didn't you tell me that you liked him before we started dating? And then she says, well, what do you mean? You knew I liked him. Did I? But I was sitting there thinking about how they'd been best friends for like 5 years and nothing had happened. Basically, this isn't my fault. And then she says, I'm pretty sure if you just break up with Steve now, me and you can get past this and we can still be friends. I think that one might be a no, Amy. So I got Steve out and I was like, listen, we've talked this whole situation out. I didn't tell him all the specifics of what she said. I very much trust Steve, but I just wanted this whole situation over and done with, and I didn't want to drag him into it as well. So it kind of all settled down, but then a few weeks after that, she decides to get her brother involved. We'll call the brother Dave. Amy's brother and Steve were best friends, by the way. And buckle in, hon. So Amy starts saying a load of shite about how I had been hooking up with Dave, which obviously isn't true. Anyway, one day, Dave texts Steve and is like, I find it really strange how you've cut Amy off considering your girlfriend is the issue. And apparently Dave chose violence. Steve's like, what do you mean? He goes, your girlfriend texts me all the time. She booty calls me. We've been hooking up for ages. He's like, I can send you the evidence and the text. She's even sent me pictures that I can send you for proof. Obviously, none of this is true. Before I started to date Steve, I'd been dating this guy and he actually like leaked some of my pictures. So that is how he would have got pictures of me. So it actually happened that my best friends had to explain to Steve and back me up that this had actually happened. And it was at this moment that he realised that Dave and Amy were absolute lunatics, and he blocked them both both and they haven't spoken since. And me and Steve are still together.
Am I the asshole for refusing to do a portrait for my boyfriend, leaving him without a wedding gift? I do digital portraits, mostly as a hobby, but I've gotten a few commissions here and there. A while ago, my boyfriend and I were hanging out with mutual friends, and my boyfriend suggested in front of everyone that I do a portrait as a gift for someone's upcoming birthday. While it was a little annoying to be volunteered by him, I did think it was a good idea and went ahead and did it. The next time a birthday in the group came up, my boyfriend made the same suggestion, and as a result, quote, the birthday portrait has kind of become my thing. My boyfriend will get something small as his gift since he views the portrait as being from us. The part where I may be the asshole is that I haven't told him explicitly to stop volunteering me for these portraits. It is my fault for going along with the birthday thing for our friends without saying anything, but I kind of assumed that he would at least keep these requests within the realm of common sense. Well, his college buddy is getting married, and my boyfriend told him that I would make him a portrait of him and his bride as a wedding gift. I have never even met this person. To make matters worse, he apparently made this promise weeks ago, but only told me about it today, and the wedding is this Saturday. 4-day notice. I finally lost it at him and told him that I'm not his personal portrait sweatshop, and that he only does this because he's a cheapskate, and it gets him out of spending any money on a gift, even though it costs me a lot of time. He argued back that a bespoke portrait is so much better than just buying something off of the registry, that it's a generous thing for me to do. It helps build my portfolio, and that I don't get very many paid commissions anyways. For the record, I don't get many paid commissions because I don't charge peanuts for them. I have a full-time job, so I price according to what it would be worth giving up that amount of free time that it takes me. He told me that I put him in a really difficult position, that he hyped up the portrait, and they were both really looking forward to it. He said, please just do this one and I won't ask again. I said no, I don't even know these people, so this is not my problem. He looked up a couple of portrait artists online, but none of them were willing to do the piece on a short turnaround he needed at the quality he wanted and at a price he was willing to pay. He even tried using an AI image generator, which was a complete slap in the face to me as an artist.
God.
But all of the outputs were very obviously AI. He's begging me to just please do this one, and he will make it up to me on my birthday. But especially after he apparently thought my work was so worthless that it could be effortlessly reproduced by a machine, I'm just really not in the mood.
Wow, it escalated.
He
He started digging that hole.
He could have just been like, babe, I'll pay you.
I was about to say,
I'll pay you.
be like, I'll pay you for your work since this is super inconvenient.
You're
and
right.
You can't, it's hard for you.
Yeah, you're right. This is the last time I'll ask. Let me just pay you, please. I get it. I get it.
I feel like it started where like I didn't think either was the asshole. I was like, he's proud of her, he likes her stuff, he also low-key likes not having to buy anything.
Yeah.
And then she was doing it, kind of worked out, but at one point I think she should have communicated to him like, can you just not promise people things without talking to me first?
Yeah.
Because I've definitely been in that situation with family where people be like, oh, I promised like 10 people tickets to something.
Oh,
and
no.
I'm like, okay, you have to ask me first, and then I'm an asshole because I can't get it, and they're like, you're putting me in a bad position. I'm like, I never agreed to even be in this position. So I get how she feels.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But she should have had a little more boundaries with it. But it's weird with your significant other because it's fun to be like, yeah, we're getting this and he likes what I'm doing. But this whole last thing, the AI shit is wild.
You literally thought you were going to create it yourself using AI versus just get down on your hands and knees and
I
beg?
go, here's a pencil, figure it out.
This boy lied about his age just to date me. Story time. So, back when I was in my last year of college, there was this new girl that tried to come to our school. So, long story short, me and Amy became like best friends. And like her family sort of became my second family. Anyway, Amy had a brother and we'll call him Steve. Me and Steve ended up getting pretty close. Like I say, I was there all the time. His family were like my family. And I think it's important to keep in mind that Steve did not go to my school. Okay, now you've got the context. Let's get into the tea. So over time, me and Steve just started to get so flipping close. Randomly, one day, he turned to me and was like, how old are you? And at the time, I was 17. And he turned to me and said, oh, I'm 17 too, but my 18th birthday is coming up. We need more sparkles here. And then it wasn't that long after that till we started properly dating, like boyfriend and girlfriend, sleepovers, you get the vibe. So one day at lunch, I ran in to Steve's cousin. She went to my school. We love a small world moment. We're chit-chatting away, getting to know each other because I didn't really know this girl all that well at this point. And she's like, oh, are you still dating Steve? And I was like, oh, how do you know that? Because at the time, I just had no clue that this girl was his cousin. I was confused as to how she would know this. Also, wasn't really that public knowledge that I was with a guy. That is when she's like, oh yeah, he's my cousin. Skin right now. Okay. And as we're talking, we're getting on really well. And she's like, so are you going to go to his birthday party? And I'm like, oh, that's interesting because he actually didn't tell me he was having a birthday party. And she's like, oh, that's really strange. Like, it's literally next week. I'm thinking that, you know, you would want your girlfriend at your birthday. Why wouldn't you? And that was when she turned around to me and said, I can't believe he's going to be 16 already. 16, sorry. 1-6, right, cool. She's like, time just flies. He's growing up so quick. And I was like, you mean 18? Like, you mean 18? You mean 18, right? So that is when I found out that he had been lying to me. So here I am, 17, and this boy is 15 years old. What do you mean you're 15? And listen, I've told this story to some people before, and they've been like, that's not really that much of an age gap, don't worry. The fact that he lied about this is enough for me. Listen, I have never been in the market for a younger man. I'm really not in the market for catching a case. So now that I have been blessed with this new information, I called up my best friends. They are shook. They start hyping me up, gassing me up. They're like, girl, I broke up with this boy. So that is exactly what I did. I sent him this huge paragraph. Not gonna lie, kind of went off. He replies back, I'm so sorry, I don't want to lose you, please stay with me. I just replied back and was like, no, sorry, I could never be with a liar. And then I blocked him and I haven't spoken to him since.
Am I in the wrong for telling my mom and dad that they have to get their noses pierced if they want to see my daughter again? My husband and I travel down to Mexico to visit with my family. I'm an American citizen, my mom and dad are not. My mom and dad got my daughter earrings for her birthday. My daughter's ears are not pierced. She's only a 1-year-old. I told them that I would save them for her until she was old enough to get her ears pierced. We left my daughter with my parents while we went to meet up with some friends. When we went to pick up my daughter, my mom showed us that we didn't need to wait because they had taken her to get her ears pierced. I got my daughter and I dragged my husband out of there before he lost his shit. We went back to our hotel. I am furious. My husband said that my parents were not allowed to spend alone time with my daughter ever again. I went farther. I said that I would not be bringing her or stupid and that they're not going to do that. I said no problem and hung up. We've started blocking anyone who tries to call us and give us shit for denying my parents their right to see my daughter.
I found out that my birth parents are married to each other and I have full siblings. I was adopted at 3 months old. I had a dysfunctional family growing up, but I was cared for and loved. Both of my adopted parents passed away in separate car accidents. My dad when I was 17 and my mom 3 years ago when I was 24. I had a semi-open adoption, but my birth parents requested my adoptive parents stop sending them photos and updates about me when I was less than a year old. I had a vague idea of who my birth parents were. I grew up knowing their names and I had several photos of them. I did a DNA test and was matched with 3 full siblings, which shocked me. I was always told they were young and that they barely knew each other and wanted to further their education. About 3 months ago, I decided to Google their names and I found their social media. Turns out they are married to each other now. I stalked them on Facebook a bit and it seems like they have a relatively happy life. I ended up reaching out to my birth mother via Facebook, telling her that I would love to get to know her and that I've had a great life and that I have no expectations. She took a month to respond, and when she did, she said she was surprised that I had reached out and to please not contact any of my siblings as they aren't aware of my existence. I didn't respond for a few days, but I ended up just asking her why she chose to give me up and why she never told anyone about me. She responded and said that I was a NICU baby. She and my birth father were 17 when I was born and they weren't prepared to raise a disabled child. She said at the time that they were under the impression that I would never live independently and that they weren't in a place to have a special needs child. Oh my goodness. Whoa. Damn, they literally said, let's just get rid of this one and try again. The ableism. I was again shocked. I definitely was in the lower percentiles for growth until puberty, but according to my grandmother, by the time I was 8 months old, I was hitting all of the markers for regular mental development. I have a master's in mathematics from a tier 1 university. I was an athlete in high school and I never had any issues in school beyond being really horrible in art class. I'm married with a child. I'm a fully functioning adult with a successful career and a family of my own, and it hurts to know I was given up on because of the slight chance I wouldn't turn out perfect. Part of me feels like I missed out on a life with siblings. I was raised as an only child, and that I could still have a chance to know them and love them, and that my daughter would have a chance to have cousins. My youngest siblings aren't even in elementary school yet, and I could have a normal sibling bond with them, or at least be part of their lives from a young age, and I wish that I had that chance. I am not angry at my birth parents for giving me away. I don't hate them. I'm hurt, but I'm not angry. I'm angry that they've requested I not reach out to my adult siblings, and I'm considering doing it anyway.
Am I the asshole for telling my brother that he shouldn't bring his wife to our dad's funeral? My brother has been married to his wife for 4 years. His wife, I'll call her Sarah, is on the spectrum. Sarah doesn't have much of a filter. If she thinks of something, she'll say it. This hasn't been causing issues until this last year. If she said something that was inappropriate or rude, someone would correct her, usually my brother, and she'll apologize. There's been a few uncomfortable situations, but usually we get an apology and everyone moves on. The main issues began when Dad started going downhill. He's had many health issues before, but he really went down last summer. My mom is the main caretaker of him during this time. Sarah at this time has made many comments that were rude and inappropriate about him. She usually apologizes, but my mom's patience is basically gone. Many conversations were had about it. No, you're not the asshole. We've talked about this many a times. Just because she's on the spectrum does not mean she cannot be taught. How many times do people have to bring something up to you before we start to, realize like our behavior needs to change? You're apologizing for it. So once you've been corrected, you know that it's wrong. You know that it's wrong. She can be fucking taught that the things she's saying and the comments that she's making are wrong. A big blow up happened at Christmas. Sarah made a comment about how he looked and how all the tubes around him reminded her of a hamster. So you came over, seen my dad dying, hooked up to all types of fucking tubes, and despite the many conversations we've had about your fucking behavior and your inappropriate comments, you stated out loud that he makes you think of a fucking hamster. She can't come to the funeral. She can't fucking come because we've talked about this many fucking times and she continues to do it. She's not learning shit. No, hell no. She can't fucking, you are not the asshole. The comment wasn't appropriate. Yes, we all know he looks like crap, but he's dying. My mother told her to get out of her house. She apologized, but my mom told her she never changes her behavior and her apology meant shit to her. Big argument later, that relationship between them now is shaky. My dad passed this week and the funeral is this weekend. My mom is a wreck and I called it my brother. I told him it would be a horrible idea to bring his wife to the funeral. If she makes an inappropriate comment at the funeral, it would destroy a lot of relationships and I think my mom would lose her shit. I also explained that even with his help before, it hasn't stopped her from making these comments. Everyone's going to be in high emotions and it would be a really bad situation. Also, she wasn't very respectful when he was alive. This started an argument and he's calling me a jerk. Am I the asshole for giving him that advice? Absolutely not. Hell no. No, you are not wrong because you said you guys have had many conversations about this. Many fucking conversations. No, because if you cannot stop making disrespectful and rude fucking comments around me, I don't fucking want you around me. I don't want you around. I don't give a fuck what type of event is going on. I don't give a damn that somebody just died. Bitch, your mouth don't fucking shut. Your mouth does not fucking shut. I don't care that she's on the spectrum. I do not. Because she's a fully functional grown-ass adult. She is an adult that has been fucking married. She can learn. She can fucking learn. OP is not the asshole here at all. He doesn't want his sister-in-law disrespecting his father at his funeral, even though she's done it multiple times while the poor man was still alive and on his deathbed. Absolutely not. No, you're not wrong. Your brother needs to pull his head out of his wife's ass and look the fuck around.
Am I wrong for calling my best friend old and ugly? Story time. But my family had a small get-together at my house. It was like a friends and family situation. One of my friends came over who I haven't seen in years. She lives quite far away. She started complimenting my husband's brother, who is 18, by the way. She is 40. It started off with Amy making little comments about how good it must be to go to the gym and he must be so structured with his lifestyle. But it just got more and more inappropriate as the evening went on. We'll call my husband's brother Steve. So a little bit later in the evening, there is me and Amy sat on our decking drinking a glass of wine. Steve was at the barbecue cooking for everyone. He was like, "Oh, Steve, take your top off." She's like, "What's the point in going to the gym if no one's going to see it?" Steve was looking visibly uncomfortable. He was trying to shut her down. She's getting progressively pushier and pushier as the evening goes on. And eventually she starts getting handsy. And I was like, oh, Amy, I think you might be a little bit too old and ugly for Steve. Got her upset really quickly, as I'm sure you can imagine. Used herself to the bathroom and started crying. Amy's husband then comes over and gets involved. And is like, why would you say something so unkind? Hon, she is 40 years old. She knows that she can't be
Anxious or paranoid feelings that Paul has been cheating on me, but never in a million years could I have fathomed something like this. Last month, I found a thong in our bedroom that I know wasn't mine. I turned a blind eye to it, being naive and acting like it was maybe our daughter's, even though that made zero sense. Not only is he cheating on me, but he's betraying our son. I'm totally overwhelmed on how to handle this because obviously actions need to be taken, but I'm terrified of what kind of psychic blow this will be for my son. I have no idea how to even broach this completely fucked up topic with him. I can't believe that I married this scumbag in the first place. And then my mind started to race, realizing that I had started noticing specifically unusual behavior from him around the same time Amy turned 18. Was he waiting for her to turn 18 before pursuing this affair? There's so many layers to all of this, and I'm completely paralyzed with fear and dread about it all. None of it makes any effing sense. How did this happen? Am I that much of a stupid idiot that I let all of this happen under my watch? Eric adores Amy, and the thought of revealing the sickening truth to him terrifies me. The impact on his young heart and mind could be devastating. My heart aches for Eric and Mary, who are completely innocent bystanders. I haven't confronted my husband about this because I'm frankly scared of the domino effect. I don't know who to turn to first about this. I share my story not for sympathy, but in search of understanding and perhaps advice from those who might have had to grapple with deep betrayal.
Am I the asshole for not giving my engagement ring to my deceased fiance's family? So I was engaged to my fiance after 4 years of dating. So when he proposed, the ring was actually 2 sizes too big, but it was okay. We went to the store later on and got the different sizes because he had just got it a couple of weeks before and still had the receipt. So we got that sorted quickly. I got the correct size for my finger and I also got the exact same style. We did plan to have our wedding. We saved and did a lot of planning, but 10 months after, my fiance did actually pass away. So fast forward, we actually had the funeral, and the day after, my fiance's brother actually came to me asking for the ring, my engagement ring. I was obviously really shocked and asked why, and his response was it had been in the family for 5 generations. I told him that was crap because I literally have proof of purchase of the ring and me going into stores with him. We argued for a bit after that and him calling me a liar, but in the end he ended up just storming off. And then the phone calls started. His whole family were ringing me and basically calling me a liar and demanding for the ring. They kept going with the lie that it was actually passed down from families from 5 generations. I then got a letter from their lawyers. Aside from the ring and all of that, they were demanding that I reimburse them for their part of the funeral. So in the end, I got myself a lawyer as well, and I showed them proof of purchase of the ring and also proof that I paid for half of the funeral as well, and I actually won that case. I thought the madness was over until I recently got a message from my fiance's sister asking if she can have the ring. Her and her boyfriend had just got engaged and she was wanting the passed down family ring. I know the engagement ring was expensive, but it was literally nothing to do with them. I obviously told her no, and I said time and time again that this is not a family ring. She went crazy when she didn't get her own way after me saying no. I blocked her, and then she decided to keep finding me on different social medias and harassing me. So then a bit later I went out with some of my friends in a group and I was just filling them in about what happened. And after filling them in, some of the girls actually started to give me their opinions. So a few of them actually were on my side and thought I handled it really well. But then there was a few that thought I didn't handle it very well and thought that I was the asshole, which then actually got me thinking about the whole thing and did I actually handle it the way I should have. So it got me wondering, was I the asshole in this situation?
Am I the asshole for being honest and telling my daughter that her wedding is a running joke of what not to do if you marry in our family or friend group? My daughter got married about a year ago. She spent about $20,000 on her wedding. It was a wonderful experience for her, but for all the guests, it really sucked. All the money went to things the couple would enjoy. The reasons it sucked for the guests was due to multiple factors. The biggest ones being that the guest had to buy food. No. I feel like y'all should have told me on the invitation that I was going to buy food. No, I'm going home. I'm going home. Buy food at your wedding reception. You shouldn't have invited me in the first place. The guests had to buy food and drinks and there was no entertainment. So people get to the wedding and the ceremony happens. Then they got put into another room after a long day of driving out. They don't get any food or drinks. Most of them were forced to buy overpriced food since they were starving. They didn't even get any cake because the cake was fake. Overall, just not a good guest experience. That's crazy. Like, so they just had a ceremony then. Like, there wasn't a reception. There was just a ceremony. Like, why didn't they just say that? Afterwards, it was negatively talked about, and people were actually quite mad about it. My other daughter is getting married, and she asked for my help. Her sister offered to help, and my other daughter made it clear she does not want her wedding to be anything like hers. My daughter asked what she meant by that, and I was honest with her. That her wedding wasn't a good experience for guests, and it's a running joke at this point with family and friends. I thought she already knew this since a lot of people hated her wedding. I mean, not her asking what was wrong with it. I mean, if it was just a wedding and not a reception, it's really not on the couple. Like, I'm confused. Like, I got so many questions. This caused an argument, and she called me a jerk. I pointed out all the issues that people had with her wedding, and she thinks that I'm being cruel. Really? I don't know. Edit. The money basically went to her dress, venue, and photos. I knew her dress was $6,000. The venue was pricey, and she didn't get the food package. I wasn't part of the wedding planning because I was having medical issues. Y'all, I'm so slow. I'm over here talking about, well, maybe there just wasn't a reception when OP said that they went to the ceremony, and when the ceremony was over, they were ushered to a separate room. So, like, the reception was in a separate part of the venue, obviously, but they didn't get the food package. So if these folks was hungry, they just had to pay for their own food. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. In my opinion, I think that is very tacky. I'm glad that the bride and groom got everything that they wanted. Their wedding was exactly what they wanted. But I feel like if you're going to fucking invite people to your wedding, the least you can do, the bare minimum you can do is feed the motherfuckers. That's the bare minimum that you could do. All I can say is that OP's daughter is lucky as shit because my mean ass family, my disrespectful ass family wouldn't have went for that. They would have been in that room making all types of noise. Yelling at me. I would have been out taking pictures. They'd have been hollering at me. This girl didn't get no food for nobody? Yeah, her daughter lucky as shit because, yeah, girl, at least they let you enjoy your wedding. And they just talked about you afterwards. Because mine would have talked about me during the wedding. All right, I went to the comment section and basically somebody else said the same thing. Like, you didn't advise that your daughter that she would need to feed her guests. And OP said that she truly didn't think a 27-year-old would be that stupid and need to be told that she needs to feed her wedding guests. OP said, I seriously didn't think a 27-year-old was that stupid. I didn't help plan this wedding at all. I was dealing with medical issues. I didn't think a 27-year-old needed to know you have to feed your guest when that 27-year-old has gone to weddings before. This is an active decision that she made. I 100% agree. And no, I don't think OP is the asshole because first of all, her daughter asked what was wrong with her wedding. If you did not want people to be honest with you, don't ask me. Because I'm not going to lie to protect your feelings. I promise you I'm not. OP's younger daughter said, or their other daughter, I don't know if it's older or younger. Their other daughter said, I don't want my wedding to be anything like yours. Her daughter got offended. Well, what was wrong with my wedding? So then when people start ticking out all the fucking ways, all of a sudden you're a jerk. Bitch, you shouldn't have asked me if you weren't ready for the answer. So no, I don't think you're the asshole on that and that alone. But also, no, she needed to be fucking told. Like, girl, what the fuck?
Am I the asshole for refusing to let my wife wake up our daughter to see a bear? My wife and kids, 12 female, 10 female, 8 male, 6 male, 4 male, and I just spent 3 weeks at our cabin while we got some repairs done on our house. Our 10-year-old, Rose, has leukemia. A lot of the activities around the cabin are outdoors, and Rose doesn't usually have the energy for that. So one of her favorite activities has been watching the wildlife from this big window seat in the master bedroom and taking pictures of what she sees. Her goal since she started doing this was to see a bear. There are some in the area, but it's not too common to see one. She has me take her up to the window seat after dinner and usually falls asleep watching for bears. Towards the end of the 3 weeks, I had to take her to the hospital for chemo, 3.5 hours each way. That night, she fell asleep in the window seat again, and when I got up to carry her to bed, there were 2 bears close to our cabin. I called my wife on count. She's even refusing to sleep next to me. She's been sleeping between me and my wife since she got sick. So, my wife has had to sleep in Rose's room since the trip. My wife is even talking about taking Rose back to the cabin for a week to try and see a bear. I don't think it's a big deal, but my wife and Rose are still upset with me, so I wanted to know if I was the asshole.
I mean, he was trying to do the right thing, but
Asshole.
Am I wrong for telling my son that his brother is just better at life than him? Oh god, some parents, man. Why? I, 50 mil, have 2 sons, Daniel, 22, and Jackson, 20. We have our fair share of problems, but I love both of them with all of my heart no matter what. Doesn't sound like it from the title, but you know. Even as a child, Daniel always had a superiority complex. He always felt the need to excel at everything, except for sports due to asthma. He started law school this year, and I'm very proud of him. Jackson, on the other hand, is just a natural. There's no other way to put it. He doesn't need to put much effort into anything, yet he still comes out on top. After graduating from high school, he started working for me at my business, which is flourishing thanks in large part to Jack. A year ago, Jackson met his now fiancé, and we're preparing for the wedding this summer. Everyone in our family is happy for them, except for Daniel. Daniel and Jack get along rather well. There's no feud between them, but I could always tell that Daniel had always been jealous of Jack. So I went on a business trip last weekend to where Daniel goes to school, and of course I met up with him. He was quite cold to me the whole time, not like he usually is. After a while, I asked him what was wrong, and he told me that he hasn't taken it lightly that my wife and I are going to pay for Jack's wedding, and that we are going to help them out with buying their house as well. I was taken aback. I told him that his mother and I will do the same thing for him as well when it's time to get married. Daniel told me that it is disgusting that we're paying for the wedding but not for his tuition. I told him that it was his decision to go to an Ivy League school and an even more expensive law school, not ours. He accused me of favoring Jack, but I was having none of it. I told Daniel that he should get past that Jack is naturally more apt to life than he is, and frankly, he should be thinking about settling down as he keeps jumping from relationship to relationship. He's 24! 22, what? Daniel had a lot of girlfriends, but none of them lasted longer than half a year. He said that I've just admitted to preferring his brother. I couldn't take it anymore. I told my son to calm down, think about how silly he's behaving, and I'll pay for his ticket if he wants to come down south for dinner on the weekend, and left. It was hard, but he needs to start accepting reality. He's becoming rather self-centered. I don't want to lose him, but I feel like he keeps pushing us away from him. It's not healthy. I told my sister about it. She's also Daniel's godmother, and she thinks I'm an asshole for talking to Daniel like that. Honestly, the only thing that might have made me the asshole is that I told him Jack is simply a natural, which he might have taken the wrong way, but he needed to hear that. So, am I the asshole? A natural at what? He didn't get into Harvard? He's not in law school. He's working at your business that you own. Foot in the door already, bam, like...
Am I the jerk for refusing to marry my uncle's friend's daughter because I'm already in a committed relationship? Because I'm already in a committed relationship. That's what the fuck I thought it said. Wait, no, not at all. The entitled uncle in this story is my dad's brother. Yesterday, I got a call from my entitled uncle inviting me to his house for a serious talk. Now, I've heard a lot of not so good things about him from my siblings, and they strongly advised me to record this serious talk, which is what I did. I took my phone, placed it backwards in my front pocket, and turned on the recording. As soon as I arrived, he sat me down and asked me about my marriage. I told him about me tying the knot with my girlfriend when I turned 27. He made some small talk and then got to the point about why he called me there. He did not ask me and straight up said, "You have to marry my friend's daughter." I kept my cool and answered with, "I'm really sorry, but I'm already in a committed relationship." And he went ballistic on me. He said that he's my dad's older brother and he can decide anything related to me, and I have to obey his orders. The way I would have left and married my girlfriend immediately with nobody around just to fucking spite him. I didn't miss a beat and I left as soon as he said that. When I woke up today, my phone was bombarded with messages from my extended family, calling me disrespectful for not obeying my orders. With all the things considered, was I the jerk in this situation? No, not at all. Like, that's fucking crazy for your uncle to call you and demand that you marry his friend's daughter. What if you don't like her? What if she eat her boogers or something? Like, what if she has to fart 8 times in a row with her ass pointing towards the ceiling before she wake up in the morning? What if you are already in a committed relationship? Like that? No, Absolutely not. No, you did not do anything wrong. You are not the jerk in this situation. Edit. A lot of you are asking me about where I live. I live in India. I've made a follow-up post. Well, to that post, we go. Before we move on with the update, I just had a random thought. Like, what the fuck could the uncle possibly be getting out of this? Like, how is this benefiting him? For him to randomly call up his nephew that is in a fully committed relationship and demand that he marry some other girl just because she's his friend's daughter. Like, what do you think the uncle is getting out of this? So this is the follow-up to my previous post. So my extended family and I arranged a family meeting for all of us to work on these issues. It turns out my uncle told them an over-exaggerated story of what actually happened. He painted me as the bad guy. The recording came in really handy, and I showed them everything that happened, and they were really mad at him. I am so glad your siblings told you to record the meeting. I forgot about that until right now. I am so glad they told you to record it. Not even an hour after the meeting, I got a call from my uncle, and he was fuming with anger. He ranted about how families should cover up for one another, and basically told me that I shouldn't have told them the truth. Not after you lied on me to paint me as the bad guy. I shouldn't have told them the truth to take the heat off of me and put it on you. Sir, that's crazy. That's fucking insane. After he calmed down a bit, I asked him why he wanted me to break
Photos. I told my boyfriend, and he's pissed that I'm not taking him and says I'm doing it out of spite. I really think I'm not. If the restaurant is giving me free food in exchange for a post, I'm gonna put more effort into the post and spend a few extra minutes making sure that I actually get very good shots. And I'd rather do it with someone who isn't going to sigh and roll their eyes through the whole thing. Also, I think it's pretty audacious of him to be actively unsupportive of an activity that hurts no one, but then also expects to benefit when it's actually successful.
Man, she hit it right there on the head.
Like, why are you even writing in? You know,
that dude's a clown.
You know the answer. Why are you with him?
Bro, I hate people like that. People that's like, oh, I hate this. Like, how can you hate on Instagram and all that shit while actively having an Instagram account?
It's literally taking a picture of a meal. Like, I mean, I feel like if you don't do that at least once, you're a weirdo. You can't tell me you've never ordered something and it looks so fucking good.
See, I do it to send it to people because I'm like, look at this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've done it, but I don't know if I've ever posted on Instagram, but
not even your
even
story?
still, it's like, who gives a fuck? Yeah, like, who cares, bro?
I feel like that's such a, like, I'm generalizing, of course, but I feel like it's such a dude thing to just, like, hate on innocent things like this, especially Taylor Swift. Like, right now, with the football and Taylor Swift and, like, all the hate, it's like, I'm boycotting the NFL until they stop showing Taylor Swift.
Are you a Swiftie?
I'm a big fucking Swiftie.
I can tell the passion. I can hear the passion in your voice.
I'm just so annoyed because it's like, does she want to be shown on camera? No.
I think it's so funny how, people will put so much effort into, like, hating something, dedicating so much time to it. To like, why do you hate Taylor Swift? And you could list off all her songs. You know the lyrics to, this is why I am. You end up being one of her biggest supporters under the guise of hatred.
It sneaks up on you, yeah.
It's like, dude, I think you support her more than I do.
Am I the arsehole for asking my boyfriend to stop being friends with his girl best friend? Story time. So I know how this sounds, but stick with me. So me and my boyfriend Steve have been going out for about 2 years now. It has all been going absolutely great up until now. So Steve has a best friend who we'll call Amy. Their relationship makes me very, very uncomfortable. About 4 years ago, Steve and Amy actually up. He said it was just a one-time thing and he very quickly realised that they were better off just friends. So he told me this very, very early on in our relationship. He made me feel very well respected. He was very open and honest. He answered any questions I had about it. He had a life before me. He could do what he wants, but I just really, really appreciated him being so open and honest. So one day at the start of our relationship, Steve looked really upset. So, like the supportive girly I am, I was like, hey honey, what's up? And he mentioned that he had spoke to Amy and told her that he was getting serious with someone. Me. And apparently she just burst into tears. Chill the fuck out, Amy. This took Steve back a bit. He was like, you good, bro? But anyway, she turned round to him and told him that she was so upset because she always thought that him and her would end up together. Even though Amy had a boyfriend at the time. So Steve and Amy literally weren't anything. They were just friends. Both of them had partners. They both agreed before anything happened as well that, you know, they weren't looking for anything serious in each other. They were just having fun in between relationships. They felt a little bit blindsided by this information, and he didn't speak to Amy for like 6 months. Randomly, on this rando Tuesday, Amy calls Steve. First of all, why is that number not blocked? She calls and is like, Steve, I'm in a bad place. Me and my boyfriend broke up. Yeah, probably because you didn't actually like him, Amy. And she was saying that through this breakup, she had realised that she really missed Steve's friendship. But he did one. So Steve comes to me and asks me if I'm comfortable with him meeting up with her. And listen, I'm a cool girlfriend. Do what you want, babe. But I said you need to make it very, very clear to her that you are just going to be friends. I have been with Steve now for 2 years and I met her twice. Anytime I'd invite her out with us, anything in a group, she would always decline. I just didn't really think too much of it, to be fair. However, a little bit suspicious, she would always go to group events when I wasn't there and it was Steve going on his own. So after this initial meet up, Amy would start to call Steve and be like, are you on your own? Is your girlfriend there? Can we meet up? She'd had a bad day at work. She'd be like, I just need some alone time with my bestie Steve. So I finally lost my shit last weekend. So he had posted a picture on his story of him and Amy out for drinks. So just for some context here, I had invited her to 6 different things throughout this year, but she said that she couldn't commit to anything till June 2024 because her schedule just wouldn't allow it. Amy, if Vogue can get 40 of the most booked women in the world to pose for a cover, you can come to one of my drinks. So I decided to raise this with Steve, and I was like, it makes me really, really sad that you meet up just you and her. You only ever see each other when I'm not there, and every time I'm away, Amy is suddenly free. And this is when Steve said that I was overreacting. So what do you think I should do here?
Am I in the wrong for telling my son's girlfriend to break up with him? I'm 41 female. My son, male 20, has been in a relationship with his girlfriend, Lily, female 20, for about 3 years now. I love my son and I hate to say this, but he's not turned out to be a good person. He has very little work ethic, has no desire to get a job or go to college, and spends most of his time gaming or partying. Lily, on the other hand, is the polar opposite. She's very studious, has aspirations to be a doctor, is a very good swimmer, and is currently away at college. When my son and Lily first got together in high school, they were an excellent match. We loved having Lily over, and my son definitely took more care of himself. Since then, it's rapidly deteriorated. I know my son still loves Lily, but he never gives her the attention she deserves, and with her clear potential, I just feel she deserves better. When Lily came to visit a few days ago, she was visibly upset. When my son went to the store, I asked her if she was okay, and she told me that she didn't know what to do and wondered why my son had such little ambition and was so lazy. I told her that I didn't see it changing anytime soon, as that's my view given it's been going on for almost 2 years. When she asked what I would do in her situation, I told her to put herself first and what she wanted. Lily thanked me and said that she'd think about things. Well, earlier today, my son comes downstairs in a rage telling me that Lily had broken up with him via text. I asked him what she said, and apparently the message referred to discussions with your mom, and that made her rethink the relationship. My son was livid that I'd gotten involved and said I'd overstepped boundaries. I told him that I didn't advise Lily to leave him, just so that she had to make her own choices and decided what was best for her. My son is now not talking to me, and my husband is annoyed, believing that not having Lily will make my son's rut last even longer. I also miss having Lily around, so am I in the wrong?
I think my boyfriend is a narcissist. What should I do? Disclaimer is not my story time instead I'm on Instagram. Brace yourselves because this is one messed up story. 5 months ago, my bestie and I show up to this party. Think really rich people living in the Hamptons, a la Great Gatsby, but with TikTok and cell phones. My bestie and I look fabulous. Out of nowhere, this guy comes up to me and starts talking to me like he knew me. I was actually confused. I thought maybe we had met before and I was embarrassed that I didn't recognize him. So I entertained him for about 10 minutes. That's when he told me that he lied, that he'd never met me before, but he was pretending so that he could actually talk to me. I was actually charmed. You see, he's English, and he was in town for about a week visiting his friends, very rich people who were hosting the party. He charmed me so much that night. By the end of the party, he started love bombing me. No, I didn't know he was doing it at the time. He was giving me every single compliment he could think of. How pretty I was, how beautiful my hair was, how I was the prettiest girl in the entire party. They were very generic compliments, but he still managed to charm me. That's when he said, "Can I kiss you?" I said no, and then he kissed me. I was stunned, but I kind of liked it. For the rest of that week, he started showing up everywhere I was. After about 2 weeks, he convinced me to be his girlfriend. But then he started making me feel bad for the people I was hanging out with. You see, I have a lot of guy friends, and he would say things like, "If you love me, you wouldn't be hanging out with all these guys." And the love bombing continued every single day, every hour of the day. He worshipped me. Before I knew it, I was prioritizing him and only him. I stopped hanging out with friends, and he started criticizing my appearance and changing the way that I was dressing. Then one day he told me that I was stupid for not realizing that he was lying to me all the time. When I asked him what he meant, he said, "Wow, then you really are stupid." 2 days later, I I found out he's not even English. He's from Ohio. Everything he said is a lie. Then he love bombs me and follows it up with criticism. And when it comes to intimacy, he makes me feel like I'm not good enough, but then he always wants it. And last night he told me that he's more attractive than I am. And if that bothers me, can someone tell me what a narcissist actually is? I think I'm right about this. What should I do? Self-care sister out.
Am I the asshole for embarrassing my fat friend for thinking she has a chance with me?
Yeah, I think you're the asshole for just the fucking
Just
way you
writing
wrote that.
that
Yeah, what
alone.
I, male 21, have been friends with this girl, female 19, for some time. Let's call her Tina. Tina has a good-looking face, but she's kind of overweight, about 5'3" and 145 pounds-ish. We have known each other for some time, and she's really sweet and funny. She says I'm one of her closest friends, and I feel the same way about her. I'm a naturally flirty guy. I make jokes, and I'm physical, as in holding hands, arm around shoulder, etc. with most people. Tina, being my best friend for almost 2 years, experienced this a lot. We had a phase for 2 months where she got busy with college stuff, and after we caught up, we went on a road trip for a week, and since it was just the two of us, we got to spend a lot of time together, and I may have come across as interested in her.
Taking a fucking solo road trip for a week, in addition to all the hand holding, arm around her,
flirting.
She might think I like her.
So after returning, we were closer than ever, texting daily, going out every weekend, and ending the night at my place. Recently, it was one of those weekends, and I called my friend over when she was there to play video games and all that. Now, Tina is normally very shy, but I guess she opened up enough around me to make jokes about how I like her, but just won't say it. And the timing was terrible. I suddenly got very surprised because I didn't feel that way at all. I started stuttering and basically tried to explain that I didn't like her. When she tried to save face by asking why, it just slipped out of me and I said, I mean, look at you.
Boy!
My friend started laughing, and I thought it must be all in good fun, but Tina wouldn't let it go. She made a joke about mixed signals, but I really didn't want her to get the wrong impression. I squeezed her cheeks and told her that she was chubby, and that is objectively unattractive, so if she lost a few pounds, maybe she'd have a chance.
What the is wrong with you?
Now, I said this all in a very casual way, and me and Tina make jokes like this, calling each other ugly all the time. My friend interjected about how it's always the girls you don't want who think you're making a move on them, but never the good ones.
Yeet! Yeet all of them!
Tina started mumbling something about how she had some work due and just stormed out of the main door late at night. My boys shouted after her, calling her a drama queen and all that, but I guess that just made things worse. Long story short, the next morning I chased Tina down and hugged her and everything, yet she still seems stoic but awkward. She wouldn't talk to me like normal and said that everything's fine, but clearly it wasn't. I don't want to lose her. Afterwards, I went to another friends of mine asking for advice on how to woo Tina back.
Woo her back?
Yeah, what a way to phrase it after you said you didn't want her. This said friend freaked out and called me a huge asshole for hurting Tina's feelings. I told her I thought Tina could handle honesty as she always seems so chill in the past, but this friend told me I didn't understand girls at all. She said I made fun of Tina and I should apologize to her, but I don't think I did anything wrong. I was just being honest. So am I the asshole?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Not only you don't understand girls, you don't understand people. You have zero people skills. Get new friends. Don't try to win her back. Stay away from her. You know?
Storytime about how my sister kicked me out of her baby shower. Don't get me wrong, I love my sister, but her husband and her are extremely stingy. When she told the family that she was pregnant, we were all incredibly happy for her. I was so happy that I decided to help her plan the baby shower. And then her best friend jumped on board, so we were both helping out with the baby shower. I asked my sister to make me a Pinterest board so that I could know exactly what colors she wanted and what the theme should be. I even went ahead and hired caterers, an entire wait staff, and my sister's best friend was in charge of all the decorations, which this girl put her own money into. This baby shower was the most curated, beautiful baby shower you could ever imagine in your entire life. We even had a 7-foot table filled with charcuterie board stuff. Charcuterie boards are really expensive. When we started the planning, my sister's husband decided to foot the bill. But me being the best sister that I am, and her best friend being a very good friend, we also decided to pitch in. But then the shit hit the fan. A week before the baby shower, her husband started asking us about how much everything cost. We even made a spreadsheet about all the costs and receipts. That's when he decided that he didn't want to pay for any of it. He said that we chose the most expensive things, and that because they didn't plan it, they shouldn't have to pay for it. Mind you, he said this to us after we had spent 8 hours decorating the entire backyard. I looked at my sister to see her reaction, and she had none. Instead of defending us, my sister did not say a word. I went up straight to her and I said, "Are you kidding me? Are you guys actually joking right now?" To which she said, "Nobody asked you to plan this." I broke down into tears because I had taken days off of work to try to plan the whole thing. Part 2 is up. Storytime about how my sister kicked me out of her baby shower. Part 2. I couldn't believe my sister was telling me that I had to pay for the baby shower because I planned it. I'm her sister. Of course I would help her plan the baby shower. She probably would have found an excuse to get mad at me for not helping if I didn't. Anyway, remember her best friend who was helping me out? We both decided to be petty. I mean, we had already hired the caterers, the tables, chairs. So we went ahead and started canceling everything. Mind you, it's the day of the baby shower. So I called up all the companies and tried to cancel, but they said it was too late. So my sister's bestie and I decided to show up to the baby shower like nothing happened. But here's what we did instead. We told them that as soon as they show up to the party to ask for payment. So the caterer shows up and asks for the money. That's when my sister's husband looks at me and tells me to fuck off. And he proceeded to kick me out and my sister's best friend. That's when the florist shows up and asks for payment too. It was all happening at the same time because we asked everyone to deliver everything at the same time. Essentially, he was ripping out his hair and going crazy, and I just watched. Then he went around to our family table and told my parents that I didn't pay for anything. Obviously, I had already told my parents about this. That's when my dad tells him that it's his responsibility to pay for it.
Do any of those cutesy things. Her words, not mine. And that really hurt her. I attempted to change the topic, but she kept circling back to that, and then asked me if I lost weight deliberately for her wedding. Whoa. What a self-conceited ass friend. What the heck? And this is your best friend? I'm sorry. I told her that I'd been trying to lose weight for a while before that, but her wedding was a good motivator for me. I wanted to look good at my best friend's wedding and feel more confident in a bridesmaid dress. Following that, she flat out accused me of trying to steal her thunder. She said that whenever I'd said I was going to try to lose weight, I'd relapse back to old habits pretty quick, so she didn't think I was serious. She told me that I was trying to make her look like the ugly best friend. She then proceeded on to tell me at one point that she was still prettier and daintier than me. No matter how thin I got, she'd always be thinner. She added that because of this betrayal, she no longer felt comfortable having me as a bridesmaid, and I could attend as a guest instead. That strung a nerve, and I promptly left the restaurant. I texted her later that night to tell her that I was not interested in attending her wedding at all. As a result, I've been getting messages from her and her mom. They say I stressed her out, and by declining the invitation, I'm trying to guilt trip her. So, am I the asshole? In case my reasoning wasn't clear, I declined the invitation because I was starting to feel like I was only asked to be the bridesmaid to make her look better. And then she felt threatened and demoted me to a guest. Felt like I overstimulated her in our friendship.
Am I the asshole for bringing a condom on a first date?
The asshole for bringing it?
No.
Bringing it.
No.
I, 28 male, recently went on a date. I met Sally, fake name, 25 female on Hinge, connected well, and we both decided to meet for drinks. I don't go to Hinge for hookups, but sex does happen when you connect with someone, and I like to be prepared, so I'll bring protection. The night goes well, great conversation, great chemistry, and she invites me back to her place. We talk a little longer, and we get to her bedroom, and as things get hot and heavy, I pull out a condom. And then room dynamics change. She questions why I brought a condom and then politely asks me to leave. As I get home, apologizing in the process, she states that she doesn't like the idea that I was potentially expecting to get lucky. Understandable. And doesn't think that it'll work. After bringing this back to the friend group, male and female, it has been mixed feedback. On one hand, it is responsible to bring your own protection. On the other hand, it is kind of a weird move to do that early in the dating process. Wanting to hear the thoughts from the general population, especially as it's pretty common for me to bring a condom on the first date. Am I the asshole for expecting to be safe if a situation happens, but also expecting a situation to potentially happen early in dating?
Wait, so I missed how the condom was shown. Did it accidentally fall out or?
No, they were getting hot and heavy and he pulled out the condom.
Oh.
Okay, so 1, explaining hot and heavy.
Yeah.
Making out with physical touch and clothes were being removed. Intercourse was next. I just didn't want this post to focus on erotica/sex, but rather the idea of the presumption of sex. Edit number 2, doing a secondary edit because people are adding, was it consent? I asked her consent. We were transitioning into sex. Again, I don't want this to be an erotica. I wanted to focus on the notion that is it bad to be carrying protection on the first